Hi again. So you'll remember that in the last video we learnt how to multiply out brackets or distribute these parentheses. Depending on whether you're in the UK or the US, you might use different words. But what we found is that there's this system which we might call FOIL, which is the first pair, the outside pair, the inside pair, and the last pair. So that's first pair, outside pair, inside pair, and then last pair. And that's very easily remembered as FOIL. Okay. When we multiply out the first pair, we get the x times by the x. Okay, and that gives us x squared. When we multiply out the outside pair, we get x times by. Now this isn't just a 3, this is a negative 3. So the x has been multiplied by negative 3, and that gives us negative 3x. Okay. Then when we have the inside pair, so we've done the first and the outside, now we do the inside pair, it's a plus 5 multiplied by positive x, so that's positive 5x. And then the last pair is the plus 5 times by the negative 3. So that's plus 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. Okay? So we end up with x squared minus 3x plus 5x minus 15. Now, very important to realize that the negative 3x and the plus 5x are the same type in x's. So negative 3x plus 5x can be simplified to make positive 2x. That's negative 3 and positive 5. Negative 3 of something and positive 5 of something makes positive 2. That makes positive 2x. So we still have x squared from here. These two bits here make the positive 2x, and we still have negative 15. And we end up with x squared plus 2x minus 15 as a result of this. By the way, notice again that the first pair, outside, inside, and the last pair, gives us that smiley face that other people may have spoken to you about in the past. Okay, so bearing this in mind, notice that the positive 2x that we're seeing here comes from two different places. The x squared comes from the first pair, and the constant, or the number which doesn't have any x's in it at all, comes from the last pair. Because notice the first pair multiplies x with x, the outside pair multiplies x with a number, the inside pair multiplies a number with x, and the outside pair is number with number. So the only thing that doesn't involve any x's at all is that last pair. And that's going to be very, very important. Because now what we're going to do is factor, or factorizing, again depending if you're in the US or the UK. And, excuse me, and we're going to be factoring these sorts of numbers to turn them back into phrases like these with the parentheses or the brackets in. So distributing or multiplying out turns the brackets into this type of thing, x squared 2x minus 15. Factoring or factorizing is the opposite, and it turns this kind of thing into this kind of thing. In other words, we're working backwards. So we have here x squared plus 7x plus 10. Now we know when we factor it, it's going to end up looking like it has the brackets. So I can put in some brackets. Don't forget, as we said before, what we have here is a number, which is going to involve x and another number, and here we have a number which is going to involve x and another number. So this is really just a number multiplied by another number equals this. In other words, this equals that times something else. And we're breaking it down in the same way that 6 times 7 makes 42, and 42 can be broken up to make 6 times 7. So we know that this is going to have two sets of brackets. We also know that the first pair is going to be x and x. And that's going to give us our x squared. Does that make sense to you? So the first pair, x times x, gives us the x squared. There's going to be a number here, and there's going to be a number here. Now I don't know what those numbers are at the moment, But I do know that this number multiplied by this number will give me a total of positive 10. So this number, the outside pair, sorry, this one and this one will give me some x's. The inside pair will give me some x's, which together will combine to make that. But the outside pair, the last pair is going to multiply together to make the plus 10. So we need to think to ourselves, what numbers can be multiplied together to make plus 10? And the answers are 1 and 10, or 2 and 5. There aren't actually any other options. 1 and 10 and 2 and 5. So the options we have here are that the number 1 goes in there, the number 10 goes in there, or vice versa, or 2 and 5, or vice versa, 5 and 2. But that's just part of the story. It's a positive 10. Because it's a positive 10, this times this has to make positive 10. So that tells us something about the signs that go here and here. If this was a plus sign, this would also have to be a plus sign, because then plus something times plus something, the positive times a positive makes positive. If this was a negative sign, this would have to be a negative sign, because negative something times negative something is a positive. So, I'm not sure whether these are both positives or both negatives, but I do know they're the same, and that's what that plus sign there implies. This plus sign, however, tells me that the outside pair and the inside pair are going to combine to make plus 7x. So if I have a plus sign here, this number here will make an inside pair of plus something times x. That will give me some positive x's. And if that's a plus sign, then this here will give me positive number times x's. That will be positive. That will give me plus a number of x's, plus some more x's, and that will be a positive number of x's. If they were minus signs, I'd get negative x's, and that would give me a negative number of x's. Since I've got a positive number of x's, I know that this must be a plus sign, and this must be a plus sign. Great. I still don't know, however, if it's a 1 and a 10 or a 2 and a 5. However, I now need to find a combination of these numbers that will make 7. Notice as well, I'm adding some and I'm adding some here. So the outside pair will be plus whatever times x and plus whatever times x. So I'll be adding some x's and adding more x's. So really I'm looking for a combination that involves putting the two together to make 7. And lo and behold, 2 and 5 make sense. So if I put a 2 in there or a 5 in there, I'll end up getting my plus 7x. Let's see how that works. So the first pair is x squared. The middle pair, the outside pair, is positive 5 times x, that's plus 5x. The inside pair is plus 2 times x, that's plus 2x. And the final pair, which is the plus 2 times plus 5, gives me the plus 10. So that's x squared plus 7x plus 10. Okay? Now, let's see that in action with another set of numbers. Okay, let me just remove, let me put the next set of numbers on. Okay. X squared minus 9x plus 20. Again, what do we know? We know that there must be a set of brackets like so. And I know that the first number must be x in each case, because that's going to be what generates the x squared. Again, I know it's a positive 20. It's a positive 20, which means that the number here and the number here must multiply together to make 20. Okay, so I'm still looking for a number here, and I'm still looking for a number here. Okay, those two numbers there, the missing numbers, have to multiply together to make positive 20. Now, because it's positive 20, I know that the signs have to be the same. It's either plus something times plus, or minus times minus. So positive times positive, or negative times negative. But because this is negative 9x, I need to somehow generate a negative number of x's. So these are going to have to be negative signs, so that we have negative something times x and negative something times x combining to make a total of negative 9x. So the real problem we have right now is, what are the numbers that multiply together to make 20? There's 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5, and that's it. Okay? And then we look at this thinking, well, which of these numbers can combine in any way to make 9x? And the answer is going to be 4 and 5, because 4 and 5 make 9. 2 and 10 make 12, or 8. If you did 10 take away 2, that would be 8. And 20 and 1 makes 21, or 19, depending on whether you add or subtract them. Similarly, by the way, 4 and 5 makes 9 or 1, but we're looking for 9. And that's going to come if we take away 4 and we take away 5. So let's just double check how this works. We have x times x gives us the x squared. The outer pair is x times by negative 5, that's negative 5x. The inner pair is negative 4 times x, that's negative 4x. And the negative 4 times the negative 5 makes positive 20. So you can see again, the negative 5x and the negative 4x combine to make the negative 9x. The 20 is obviously 20 and x squared is obviously x squared. So this is a factorization of this. Moving along, just another example. Again, we know that there's going to be brackets before we get going. So there's x squared plus x minus 6. Notice this time we've got a minus 6. So we know that we're going to have x in the first position because the x times x is going to give us the x squared. Now, we're missing these two numbers. What are the two numbers that go here? Well, these two numbers are factors of negative 6. The factors of 6 are 1 and 6 and 2 and 3. Those are the only choices we have. But we need to make negative 6. So one of these numbers is going to be positive and one of them is going to be negative because a positive times a negative makes a negative. So I can say that one of these is going to be positive and one of these is going to be negative. I don't know which one though. Okay? But I know it will be x plus something and x minus something. Alright. Now, I have to make a positive x. That's positive 1x, don't forget. Positive 1x. So the outer pair is going to involve me subtracting some x's. That makes sense? So negative times x's will be a negative number of x's. And the inside pair will be a positive number of x's. So I'll be losing some x's and gaining some x's. So I need to find a combination here where I lose some but gain some and get a total of 1. Well, with 6 and 1, the only numbers I can make are going to be 7 and 5. Because 6 plus 1 is 7, 6 minus 1 is 5. By the way, of course, 1 minus 6 is negative 5, and negative 6 and negative 1 is negative 7. So 5 and 7 are the only options for there. 2 and 3 can make 5, but it can also make 1, and 1 is what we're after. So we have to make sure that we want positive x, so we need to add more x's than we lose. So that means we're going to add the 3 and subtract the 2. So we've got, just going through it again, we've got the x times by the x makes 4x squared. It's there. The outside pair, x times negative 2, gives me negative 2x. The inside pair gives me positive 3 times x, that's positive 3x. And then the last pair, the plus 3 times the negative 2, gives us that negative 6, the positive times by negative being a negative. And of course the negative 2x and the positive 3x combine to make that positive x that we wanted in the first place. Okay, hope that makes sense. So by now hopefully you've got the hang of it. If we have something like x squared minus 3x plus 10, we know there's going to be a couple of brackets, and we know that there's going to be an x in there and an x in there to make the x squared. That's pretty straightforward. To make the positive 10, right, we're going to have to involve the factors of 10, because they're the numbers that are going to go here and here. So 1 and 10 or 2 and 5. And those are the only options for 10. Factors of 10 are only 1 and 10 and 2 and 5. But somehow we have to make negative 3x. Okay? I meant to make that, I'm sorry, I meant to make this a negative sign. That's me making a mistake there. Actually, I'll just put it in blue so we or purple so you can see it clearly. That's supposed to say x squared minus 3x minus 10. Okay, so we still have the x's, they're the same as they ever were. And of course the factors of 10, whether it's positive or negative 10, are 1 and 10, 2 and 5. But we are going to now need to put in signs, and to get a negative 10, one of these has to be positive and one of these has to be negative. Okay? So negative something times x, that's the outer pair, will give us negative x's. Positive something times x will give me the inner x's. Okay? The outer x's will be subtracting x's, the inner x's will be adding x's. So which combination of these will subtract some and add some and make a total of negative 3x? the answer is going to be the 2 and the 5. Okay, so because if I need to remember, negative 3x, I'm going to have to get rid of more x's than I add. So if I get rid of 5x's and add 2x's, right, then I'll get my negative 3x's. Let's just check how that works. First pair, x squared. Outside pair, x times negative 5x. Inside pair, positive 2 times x. And last pair, positive 2 times negative 5, negative 10. Okay? And once again, we can see that the x squared here is the same as x squared here. The negative 5x and the positive 2x together combine to give us the negative 3x we wanted, and the negative 10 is the negative 10 all along. And there we go. So factoring, or factorizing polynomials, this is what this is called, but factoring or factorizing involves putting in some brackets, making sure we get the x's in place early on, and then finding the factors. And these factors will multiply in the last position to give us the constant, which doesn't have any x's in it, because that's the only place that you generate no x's whatsoever. And then the outside pair and the inside pair are going to generate the x's. Now remember, those are the bits that combine. So we're looking for factors that combine, either adding or subtracting, in order to make the, in this case, the negative 3x, but whatever the x value is here in the middle. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. And good luck with it. This is one of my favorite topics because it really involves using as many clues as possible, particularly using the fact that the sign here tells you whether it's a positive and a positive, or a negative and negative, or whether it's a positive and a minus. Notice if it's a plus here, it's a plus plus or a minus minus, and this sign will tell you whether it's pluses or minuses. But if it's a negative, then it's just a plus and a minus. It has to be, because a positive times a negative makes a negative. Okay, good luck with them.